Now, how many of you out there have heard of this, the Stovepipe Nymph? I'm betting not a lot of you. Now, I wouldn't call this a forgotten fly because there are a few references to it out there and it's in a couple of books, but for some reason it's not all that popular. Hello everybody, welcome to Savage Flies. I'm Matt, thank you for stopping by. So this pattern I'm talking about, the Stovepipe Nymph, I got it from Randle Scott Stetzer's Flies the Best 1000. I'm slowly working my way through this book. So what do we know about the Stovepipe Nymph? Well, not a lot. I did see one reference that said it was probably created in Oregon and maybe about 40 years ago. Now there are a couple of pictures of it out there. There are 2 YouTube videos on it. Peter Charles, Hook for Life Fly Fishing, has one, and Hugh Graves has one of the friends of this channel. Check out Hugh's video and his channel if you get a second. I'll put a link in the description. And he ties it a little bit different than I am. He's using a peacock herl rope for the body, and I'm using an olive chenille. And a couple of other options. I've seen it with a bead or without a bead, as big as a 6, as small as a 10. And for the teal flank feather for the wing, you can tie that flat to the body like Hugh does, or Peter Charles ties it, a little bit upright. And I'm going to tie it upright because I probably won't fish this just as a straight up nymph under an indicator. I'll probably fish it more as a wet fly a little bit actively. But it's not a very hard pattern to tie. I think it's pretty cool looking. I think you're going to like it. Let's give it a shot. So there's one in the vise, a Stovepipe Nymph. Common sizes for this guy, as big as a 6 and as small as a 10. I'm tying it on a 10. It's a 1X long nymph hook. And I am going to put some weight on it. This is 0.15. I'll put about 10 or 12 wraps. And a rusty brown thread here. I would use something orangish or brown. Not a bright orange, but I think this color looks good. So put it down behind your weight, take it up over it, then a few wraps in front, then bring it back to the bend of the hook. Now I'm not worried about that gap or that step down between the weight and the hook because I've got a pretty thick piece of chenille I'm putting it on. But before we get to that, let's put some tail in. Golden pheasant tippets. And I want a bushy one, so I'm just taking a small feather and using the whole thing. I'm going to try and fold it over tent style so that you can see, the bright orange on both sides. If you don't get it as such, I wouldn't worry about it. So there we go right there. That's going to be fine. Let's just bury this in right here. Might have a little stub sticking up, but not really. Now this olive chenille I have, it's pretty thick stuff. It's got a thick thread core right there and a pretty stiff one, but I'm going to use that to help fill in this gap between the weight right here and then the back where I'm going to start wrapping it. Okay, I think that's fine right there. Let's take our thread right back behind the weight. A good bit behind the eye because we still have 2 components after this chenille body. So go ahead and wrap this up 4 or 5 turns, whatever it's going to take to get you up front. Okay, with this thick chenille, it might take me 2 or 3 securing wraps to really lock that in. But I do like this chenille. It's a little bit spiky. It's not quite as soft as most chenille, but I think it looks pretty cool. Has a good feel to it as well. But you just have to be careful of that thick thread core. So do I want to try and snip that just a little closer? Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Okay. That will help me not get too big of a head here in just a minute. Okay, so the next component is a brown hen hackle, soft hackle. Now I did tie one of them. I just tied it on at the tip, put 1 full wrap and then pushed it down as a beard. But I think it's just as easy to grab about 10 of these fibers right here and then pull them off and then tie it on the bottom just like a beard this way. It's probably a little quicker and I think it looks just a little bit better. Just make sure you get them coming off the bottom right there. And I think we are, and that looks fine. So a couple of securing wraps right there. Now snip off this excess right here as close as you can get it. Okay, I think that's fine there. Got a little bit of fluff right there. I'm going to take that back. Now leave my thread right behind the chenille and teal flank feather. So this stuff right here, this looks pretty good. And I'll pull the fluff off here. One thing I do when I'm tying these in, I cut them instead of pull them off. So I'm trying to keep the tips aligned, and you want a pretty good chunk. We're going to, for the most part, fold it over tent style. So I've got a big thick piece right there, and I'm just going to try to fold it over in a tent. You could do it as a rolled wing as well, that would be fine. But I think we got enough right there, that looks good. And just a little bit, maybe a little past the bend of the hook, but not quite as far as the tail. So let's do a pinch wrap here and check and see what we got. Okay. You see a lot of them where they are laying flat like that. And I think that looks fine right there. So let's go ahead and secure this. And snip off this excess. Okay, I think we're fine. We shouldn't have to build too big of a head to get these buried in here, but go right back to the eye and then ramp it back up. Okay, I think that head's going to be just fine. Let's do a 3 or 4 turn whip finish. And a drop of head cement, and we're good to go. Not even any cleanup on this guy. So the stovepipe, pretty cool little nymph, easy to tie, gotta be effective. So I appreciate you watching, folks. Y'all take care. We'll see you next time.